Hi everyone, John here again. Just a quick video on spot metering. I've just been talking to a photographer. Well, we were actually doing a bit of a few little pictures, and he was on about spot metering, and he was telling me I always use spot metering because, which is fair enough. I'm not telling anybody not to use spot metering, so don't think I am. It's entirely up to yourself. I don't use it that often. And when I do use it, I know how to use it. Now, you're probably thinking, what do I mean? But remember the other day when I showed you that if you spot meter something that's really white. So, if you spot metered, let's say you spot metered a wedding dress, and you was getting F11, right? That were your reading, F11. Now, everybody knows, well, I do, and a lot of people know how a meter works. A meter meters for always for 18% grey. So in all fairness, if you were to ring me up now and go, right John, I've just metered off her dress and I'm getting F11, mate, is that right? I'd say no. Open your aperture up 2 stops. So go from an 11 to an 8 to a 5/6 and you'll have your correct exposure on the wedding dress. Now, a lot of people do know it, and some people don't. When you meter white, your meter will always try and meter that white for 18% grey. So, to cut a long story short, it'll underexpose it 2 full stops. So it won't be white. It'll be like this. You see, this is not underexposed. This is actually overexposed because this is black, and that's what a meter does when you meter black. On white, it will underexpose it with 2 full stops. Now, I learnt this lesson when I was looking at my mate's wedding pictures. When he said his picture, he said my metering all messed up. I said, no, you didn't, mate. You've done it yourself. You were in spot metering. Yeah, I metered for dress. Yeah, so you've underexposed it 2 full stops because your meters 18% grey. Anyway, that was that. He knew that. So when you meter black though, black will always overexpose because instead of metering it for black, these are spot metered. This is spot metered, centered out of the camera. Not in AV, in manual, but centred on the meter, in spot metering off this middle bit here. And as you can see, that is not black. And the histogram shows you that. So, I put in, let's have a look, 20th of a second. I went to a 40th, and then to an... I went over a stop and 3/4, I underexposed the image, a stop and 3/4. And there you go, I've got some black. It's not jet black, because I didn't want it to go jet black. I didn't want it to really go something like this, because then to me it's underexposed, that a bit is that. So I go for a bit of an happy medium. So I go from that to that, because it happens a lot when you're photographing weddings. If your groom's got a black suit on, if you do that, his suit just looks white and his skin tone's outright good, they're blown out. If you do that, your black's a little bit off there, but you still get some detail in the face. Let's just move on to my hand. Somebody told me to do this on one of my videos that I'd just done, and he said hold your hand up to where the light is and take a meter reading off your hand. It's quite a good idea actually. Anyway, I took a spot meter reading off my hand now, and I focused here, so I took the meter reading here. So to be in all fairness, and if you look at it, that's centred on the meter. So if I take that picture, if that was a bride's face and then I stood back and took the image, I've got an underexposed image. Look at Instagram. It's underexposed. Let's go to that where I slowed the shutter down to a 50th. That's a stop and 1/4 overexposed. Now this is how I always expose skin tones hot. Always, and for one reason and one reason only. I know I can bring it back a little bit in post. Instead of going like that and trying to add light into shadows and add loads of noise and mess the shot up, I'll always overexpose a bit, even though they're not burned out. But I'll always overexpose a bit. Plus, I get some nice light in the shadows. If that was the eye sockets here, I've now brought some light into the eye sockets. If you notice, you'll notice all my exposures on portraits and stuff, I always expose hot. So there's again, listening to the meter, even spot meter, not evaluative, spot, and it's got it wrong. Got it wrong again. Here, I'd say it pretty much got it right here, but I'd still go a little bit brighter, because I always like to get a little bit more information in the shadows, because the ISO was up as well. Again, kids nursery, focused on the book. Look at the histogram. Look at the histogram. Spot metering. Go away. That's where it wants to be. That's your exposure. I don't care if it looks a shade bright on anybody's screen. That might be because your screen's too bright. Let's use the histogram. That's where your exposure wants to be. Especially if you're going to print the thing. Because it's going to come back darker anyway. So if we take notice of that sucker, and then we go and get it printed, and then we come back with something totally and utterly like this. You know what I mean? And I've seen it so many times before on photographers' portfolios, and they look rubbish. Because the skin tones are all red. And they go, well, it wasn't like that when I sent it off. So use your histogram for your exposure as well. I'm not saying use the red, green and blue channels, because I never use that. I don't. That don't make a difference to me. But again, there's getting it right. Centred on the meter, spot metering, got it wrong. And spot metering's more precise in reality than evaluative. So it got it wrong. Again, spot metering, got it wrong. There's the right exposure. Maybe a shade hot, that one. Again, that's exactly as I'd expose that shot. If I were taking it, I could just recover highlights into a bit. I mean, there isn't nothing blown out, but I'd just bring it back down a little touch, put a bit of vibrance on it, a bit of clarity, put a bit of contrast, pump my exposure down maybe one, and bang, I've got my shot. Instead of working with this thing, I mean, look at shadows violently underexposed. Well, they're not violently underexposed, but let's bring them back. Let's bring some detail in shadows. Ah, look at that. Well, not too bad actually, but because it's only ISO 400. But again, I'm not going to bore you for any more. They're centered on the meter. Me overriding it. Look at the histogram as well. Again, that's give and take. That's sometimes you can't always use your histogram, but I wasn't happy with that, so I went with that one. Because if you look at this shadow here, look at it. Look. So mainly, I was compromising there for the highlight and the shadow. I mean, that ain't too bad, but that's a bit better because I know that one, I've got a little bit more light in my shadow. Let's just go before. Oops. Hang on. Yeah, look at alt noise in this one, and look at how much less it looks when you get it right. I mean, I've done it before. Again, that's actually quite a good exposure. But me overriding it a bit to the hot side, just to gain that little bit more light. It's a little bit hot, but I know damn well that it's only a touch, and bang, I've recovered it. I pulled down whites a little bit, pump up contrast, bit of clarity, a bit of vibrance. I mean, this is a bloody rubbish image, but you know what I mean. Oh, bit pink. And there you go, before and after. Before and after. So there's prime examples of exposures. I mean, there's a guy coming tomorrow called Dave from Manchester. He's coming to see me. He's really struggling with his camera. Hopefully we might do a little video. He's struggling really badly to use his camera. And he's coming across tomorrow. And I'm going to give him some tuition for the day. And this is one of the things that I'm going to be straight onto him about straight away. But what I'm saying is, just because you're on spot metering, my mate would just genuinely believe that if he goes on spot metering, it's a lot more precise. He's going to get good skin tones. There's my good skin tone. That's not a good skin tone. That's the skin tone I've seen in my life. So don't think that just because you're on spot metering that it's right. Put your camera on spot metering, but still use your histogram and use your eyes on where it wants to be. So let's just say, let's say we took this. So let's use the histogram, right? And let's start pushing it. I'd be somewhat like that, me. Well, let's look at the one. There you go. Look at that. There's the one that I did, and there's the one that I've adjusted. And you know why? Because I'm 3/4 of the way over in the histogram, and I know that I'm going to bring light into the face. I always like to expose the face nice and hot, not burnt out, but one, it does the complexion great. Two, it brings light into the eye sockets if you're not using flash or a reflector. If I was using reflector, I might have been more tempted to put that something like that and then fill, but I'd still want something like that in the end result. And then if I want to bring it down a little bit in post, I mean, let's go to this one, right? Now, I know that we've put that one up easy enough, haven't we? And we've got away with it. But if you look at noise up here, let's go reset it. Look, and then let's go back to my one. Look at the difference in the noise straight away. So, you know, for high ISOs it definitely makes a difference. But let's say that we thought this was a little bit hot, which I don't, but let's just pull down the whites a little bit then. We'd have to warm it up, wouldn't we, if it were somebody's skin. I'll go like that, and we'll pump down the exposure. And there you go. That's your skin tone sorted. And obviously it's nicely exposed on Instagram, so if to get it printing it might come back like that. But if we knocked it down to that and then got it printing, it's going to come back like that and then it's going to look crap. So remember, spot metering doesn't mean to say that your camera's perfect and everything's going to be good. All it means to say is that your camera's going to meter for that scene, and it's going to meter it just from here instead of doing evaluative metering, which might just... I mean, spot metering may give you 1/100 of a second. Evaluative metering might give you 60th, or it might give you a different reading. But remember, use your histogram, guys. Use your screen as well as a guide, and get a good exposure, and you'll be on your way. Thanks for watching. I know I've done a video similar to this before, but I thought I'd do it again with another explanation, because people really just don't understand. They just think that the camera... I mean, I can't believe that the photographer said to me, my meter, there's something wrong with my camera, my meter's getting it wrong. And every one of them were just similar to this. So when he took the black, he got this. When he took spot meter in there, he got that. I mean, that ain't too bad. But these dark ones are all centered on the meter, spot metered, for somebody thinking that their meter is perfect and it's getting it right. There you go. That ain't too bad, to be honest. So, thanks for watching. Please comment and subscribe.